And so you might need to kiss a few frogs before you meet your prince, right? And so you might have to employ a few people, get a few volunteers, and figure people out as you move along. But I can tell you now, one of the biggest things you're going to have to look out for as a founder is who you open up those, especially the financial elements of the organization. Remember, it's not just the financial elements, right? Your curricula, your programs, your activities is IP of the organization. So while people might not also have access to stealing the money, they could very well steal your ideas. They could steal your strategy, for goodness sake. So you also need to be quite careful about who you open up that vault to. It's not just about the money. It's about the IP. It's about all that you've learned over the years. There's so many things that you've got to be mindful of, that when you start opening up the space to whoever that you do, and when I talk about the space, I talk about the space of your organization. Hey everyone! Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sibulele Sibaca Nomnganga, your official NGO queen. And you know what we do on this channel? We talk all things nonprofit, we talk all things non-governmental organization, we talk all things giving back, philanthropy work, change makers, whether you're in the space around ESG, around governance, we talk everything. And I'm just so excited to have you on the other end of the screen. So I want you to know I appreciate all of the questions that you have all been putting in the chat box. Please continue to do that. I actually want to know that this is helping people. If you have a specific question, my contact details are listed below, my email, my other socials. So please do drop a DM. I always respond to my Instagram DMs. If you didn't know, now you know. So please just always make contact, because I absolutely love engaging with like-minded people. And also because this space can get quite heavy and daunting and overwhelming. And so if you're ever just looking for someone to go, what am I doing? I'm your girl, okay? And it doesn't matter where you are around the world. We could have tea over Teams, okay? We could do that. But welcome to today's conversation. And today I'm really talking about the importance of systems. I've spoken about the importance of systems. We can never speak enough about the importance of systems, because I think it's one of the things, because life is lifing and things are happening, that you will always need to have your systems at play. And also because life is lifing, your systems are always going to be tested, right? To make sure, in fact, that process that I have in place, that system that I have in place didn't actually work the last time when I needed it to work. And so this is going to be a continuous conversation, because you know me about always bringing you the tea, the authentic, the honest, sharing my life with you. The reality that my family and I have just come out of, and maybe not so much, my husband, but certainly we are all trying to come out of a very difficult time. My husband lost his son, who was in Cape Town, who was almost 30 years old, and he was stabbed to death. And so as a family, we have so many unanswered questions. We are running around trying to figure out what happened. And so it has been a real difficult time for my family. And the past 6 weeks have almost been zero work for me, where I stand in the gap and I make space for my husband to heal and the rest of the family to be okay. It's been really, really tough. And remember, while you are trying to make sure that happens, which is a new thing, it's a new event, right? It doesn't mean that everything else that has always required your attention suddenly falls away. But this was such a difficult time in our lives. And for some strange reason, and I'm not comparing at all, but this was harder. This was harder than when my husband lost his mom about 5 years ago. This hit harder. Maybe it's because of all the unanswered questions and the finality of it all. Yeah, it's just, and so because of that, I really needed to be there for him. And so while needing to be there for him and the rest of the family, like I said, my life wasn't stopping, right? It was still moving. All of the things that I'm responsible for on a day-to-day basis were still happening. And so while we do have systems and processes in the organization, this was a good time, a good time to test whether those systems work. And it's small things, right? So, for example, at Impact Drivers, our organization, we've got systems for when you want to go buy lunch for your participants. We have a requisition form process that two people need to approve if it's over a certain amount, or if any payment needs to be made, or any purchases that need to be made. Month end, this 6 weeks fell in between month end. People must be paid, staff must be paid, things must be paid for. Then we also had a break in at the farm where that's our base for our office, and we got some of our stuff stolen. Really difficult time, right? And I now, without intentionally needing to, I tested the system to see if it worked. And so I really want to ask you, if you are running an organization or starting one, how are you from the very beginning making sure that this organization is going to run without you? Can you imagine being asked to pay stipends or for transportation in the middle of a funeral? Like, no. That for me would be clear indication of the fact that there's something about the system that is not right, right? So, if you're enjoying this episode, which I really hope you are, you will be excited to know that I designed an entire 6-module course really targeted at non-profit organization founders. So if you're in the space of giving back, you are a volunteer, you are a philanthropist, you are a CSI manager, a corporate social investment manager, a corporate social responsibility manager, and you absolutely love the space, I know the course is going to be for you. I talk through my 20-year experience over 6 modules, and I go into so much detail about how to start, run, scale, and make sure your organization is sustainable. And so it doesn't matter where you are at on the scale of your organization, whether you've just started or you've been running at it for a couple of years now, I give you all of the juice around what you need to make sure you run a successful, sustainable organization. I also give you templates of contracts, of documentation, of proposals, of concept notes that really help you stay ahead in the game. So I really hope that you take the time to click the link below and you go ahead and you register and get yourself the course. Cheers. It's also about planning. So even if you don't have the right systems, there's got to be a moment where you sit and you go, okay, for the next month, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan. And so head of programs and curricular activity, how much are you going to need as part of your budget that you submitted beginning of the year? It's now going to be this particular month. This is what my needs are going to be. This is what they look like. This is what it's for. Approve that. Submit the finances and let it move, right? Because you just don't know how that month is going to go, right? Maybe all of a sudden your child's extramural activities get really, really crazy, and now all of a sudden you don't have time on your hands. It doesn't always have to be a tragedy. Or you know what? You are just burnt out. It's almost year end. You just don't have the energy in you anymore. You just want to be in bed. So it doesn't always have to be a tragedy that happens. But how are you planning your organizational activities on a day-to-day, depending on what you guys are doing, or on a month-to-month, week-to-week? How are you doing it? And so that's really important. And one of the things I find about planning, processes, systems, is that you've got to involve someone else, right? And what does that mean? It means I need to hand over financial responsibility to someone else. It means more than me, there needs to be somebody else, or two, plus an accountant externally who have access to the bank account so that things can move and function. I never want to hear that, oh, that program didn't happen because the money, we didn't get the money, but the money's in the bank account, but we didn't get the money. right? You can't, you run these programs, they need money. Young people need to be transported, they need to be incentivized, they need to be given snacks or something, you need to be printing. There's a lot of costs that get into these activities and making sure that we actually make them happen. And so when you are hogging the system, I know you. Janas, Nina's founders, some of you have this founder syndrome that really stop you from making sure things are not about you only. And I know it's not intentional. Okay? I know you don't sit there going, I'm going to keep this all to myself. No, 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 I know, right? It's because this is your baby and you don't want it to be messed up. You don't, you are hoping and praying that whoever um, you open the space up to, whoever you open your organization up to is going to flow with you intentionally and honestly and authentically. Unfortunately, you don't know that that's how it's always going to go. And so you might need to kiss a few frogs before you meet your prince, right? And so you might have to employ a few people, get a few volunteers, and figure people out as you move along. But I can tell you now, one of the biggest things you're going to have to look out for as a founder is who you open up those, especially the financial elements of the organization. Remember, it's not just the financial elements, right? Your curricula, your programs, your activities is IP of the organization. So while people might not also have access to stealing the money, they could very well steal your ideas. They could steal your strategy, for goodness sake. So you also need to be quite careful about who you open up that vault to. It's not just about the money. It's about the IP. It's about all that you've learned over the years. There's so many things that you've got to be mindful of, that when you start opening up the space to whoever that you do, and when I talk about the space, I talk about the space of your organization, you've got to be very careful. Like discernment. Discernment. It doesn't always go to, so you don't have to always open up the space to the loudest in the room. You know, really check for the one who's been there, who's consistent, who's committed, who's always there to help you. This doesn't necessarily mean this is somebody on your management committee. This could very well be a volunteer, and you groom that person to kind of be the person whom you work with side by side as time goes. But I can tell you now, you are going to need to open up the organizational vault if you want to scale, if you want to grow, if you want your organization to be known. And the vault is more than just, like I said, the finances or the strategy or the curriculum. It's also the story. Open up the story. Let it live outside of you. Let it be more than just about you. I can promise you now, you may feel like you're losing a lot by letting go, but I can tell you there's so much more to gain when you allow 2 or 3 minds to sit on top of the organization and to kind of think about where the organization goes next. And so, really, for today's session, or really today's episode, I want to implore you and I want to leave you with that. I hope you find it in you to start creating the systems that you need to scale your organization. It's scary, I know. When I needed to do it the first time, I thought, oh no. And you know why I thought, oh no, is because I started this organization with my own blood, sweat, and tears, with my own money. Why must I now open up this organization, its finances and everything, to somebody else? I struggled with that a lot, you know. And also because right at the very beginning, I fumbled. Once money started coming in, I fumbled. So I didn't want people to see those mistakes, right? But there's something about going, I didn't know any better. But now I want to correct that. And now I want to bring people on board. I want people to buy into this. And it's more than just about me. There's some internal work that needs to happen. So I really hope that from watching this episode, that you don't just, one, recognize that you need to do that. Two, also recognize, if you're like me, that if you genuinely have an issue with that. And three, work towards solving that issue. Because I can tell you now, Your organization is not going to grow, it's not going to scale if you keep thinking it's just about you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you understand that systems will always be key for your growth.